15th of June 2026. It's 9:30. Do we have any apologies? Nope. I'll take it from that everybody's quiet. Right, two
Sorry,
declarations.
Chair, there are a couple. I think Fion's having a few technical issues there.
Right.
It's just John Brinmore Hughes, Charles McCoubry. No?
Charlie McCoubry, yeah.
Oh, just John Brinmore for this morning, sorry.
Okie dokie. Adwin, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just to apologise. When I was in Riddle about a few weeks ago, people weren't aware that I'd been off ill. I've been in hospital and I had an operation on my eyes, and that's why I haven't attended other meetings which apparently you were not aware of. So I do send my apologies on that.
Okay, thank you for that. Is that all apologies? Okay. All right, moving on to number 2, declarations of interest. Does anybody have any declarations of interest? Well, if anybody does and it comes up unexpectedly, please do let us know. Okay, 3, notice of urgent matters. I haven't received any urgent matters. Nope, nothing. Okay, on to number 4, minutes of the meeting held on the 16th of March. Okay. I'm on 3 different screens at the moment, so that's always handy. Right, okay. Do we have any matters arising from those minutes? Or, first of all, a point of accuracy. Is everybody happy with the accuracy of those minutes? I can't see anybody's hands up. I think people are warming up this morning. Okay. Austin, you've got your hand up. Austin, you want to unmute?
Yes, sorry, no, just putting my hand up to say that I'm happy to recommend that they're correct.
Okay, do I have a seconder for those minutes?
Seconder.
Okay, Anne, I can hear your voice. Okay, all those in favour of the minutes being accurate who were there, of course. That's great, thank you very much. Okay, any matters arising from those minutes? No. Are there any actions from those minutes that we need to refer to? No, okay, I will say that's okay. Okay, we'll move on to the substantive item, which is the number 5, the draft annual governance statement 25-26 for recommendation. Who's leading on that first?
That'll be myself.
Okay, Anne, fire away.
Thank you. So this report presents the draft annual governance statement for the year 2025 to 2026. So we always look back with the annual governance statement, and provides assurance that North Wales Fire and Rescue Authority continues to maintain effective governance, risk management and internal control arrangements in accordance with its statutory duties. The preparation and publication of the statement forms part of the authority's responsibilities under the Accounts and Audit Wales Regulations 2014 and reflects the principles set out within the SIP for Solace framework, delivering good governance in local government. It supports the authority's wider legislative obligations, including operating in accordance with the relative law and regulation, safeguarding public funds, securing economy, efficiency and effectiveness in the use of its resources, and demonstrates alignment with Welsh legislation and policy expectations, including the Wellbeing and Future Generations Wales Act 2015 and the Fire and Rescue National Framework for Wales. The statement confirms that governance arrangements continue to strengthen during 25-26, including enhanced oversight of risk, performance and programme delivery, and the establishment of a culture board in response to the CREST advisory review. It also identifies a focused programme of improvements for 26-27 to ensure continued compliance, assurance and organisational improvement. So members are therefore asked to note the contents of the annual governance statement for 25-26 and approve its submission to Audit Wales in line with the statutory requirements. Diolch yn fawr iawn. Thank you.
Diolch, Ant. Okay, open to questions from here. Well, I will start off then. So in the beginning of the report on page 7, there's a listing of all the different committees we have at the Fire and Rescue Authority. It seems like an awful lot for the size of organisation that we are. Can you confirm that has any review taken place to merge, or is that the right number? Because it seems like a lot of meetings and not enough time for operational matters in there. So if you can just confirm on that, that's my first question. And then moving over to the next page, we've got the North Wales Fire and Rescue, we've got the management team. We don't have a deputy fire chief or fire officer at the moment, or if we do, I don't know if it's there. And also we have 3 assistant fire chiefs, and I'm just looking at the assistant chief officers as well. Who are they, and or how many do we have? Just those questions to begin with.
Thank you, diolch. Yeah. So we have actually done a piece of work recently, the past few months, reviewing our governance and assurance structure. Members will probably note that we implemented it in July 2022, that sort of summer 2022, we recognised that we needed to implement a governance and assurance structure. So we started to implement it in that year, and it became well embedded over those subsequent years. We also felt that it was time for us to review that. So quite a detailed piece of work has been conducted with heads of department and the principal officer team, who mainly are those main members of those governances, and also met with the group leads, the leads that lead the subordinate groups under each of those structures, because we were getting some feedback, as you say, that it's a very robust governance structure, but also there was some feedback in relation to, can we simplify it, and is there ways of lessening the burden. We came out with a similar structure, to be honest, because when the work was done, the teams recognised that actually the structure itself does work. The embeddedness of it, the groups are feeding in really well. But we added some measures to make some of those reporting lines easier. We tried to simplify those reporting lines, because obviously they report up to SLT as well. But we have conducted a review of that, yes, and there was some minor changes, but it is significant. It's substantially stayed as it is. But we have conducted a review, and that review is conducted with the people that sit on those structures.
Okay, and in terms of the leadership?
In relation to the leadership team, you are right. We currently are carrying a vacancy for the Deputy Chief Fire Officer, which is the structure that's presented within the report demonstrates the established structure, if you like, what is there. But the current positions that are occupied are obviously the Chief Fire Officer and myself, Justin, and Helen as the Assistant Chief Fire Officers. So the Deputy Chief Fire Officer role is currently vacant, as is the Assistant Chief Officer role, which was previously held by Sean Morris. That was the role that Sean held. So those 2 roles are currently carried as although they're established, they're carried as vacancies.
Okay, it might, yeah. It's just it's not mentioned anywhere about the vacancies. It's just saying that we have them in place. Okay. Anybody else got any questions regarding the draft governance? No. Okay, well, I will move on. It mentions safeguarding on the page 21. How updated are we on safeguard training when people come into the force? Do they automatically receive safeguard training?
So I might ask to jump in on here, but what I can offer you, Chair, is that we have just appointed a full-time safeguarding manager. And that role was a role that we have been keen to fill for probably 12 months or so now. I know one of the priorities for that role is to review and assess where we're at in relation to safeguarding, and making sure that we are building on where we already are, and we are in a good place. There is mandatory safeguarding for all staff, yes, but Justin, as the chair of the safeguarding committee, is probably a little bit closer to this than I am, so I might ask him to come and put some meat on the bones.
I think you've covered a lot of it there, Ant, in terms of, yeah, I chair the safeguarding committee. Yeah, we've recently taken on Alice to assist to make sure that we're following the very latest approaches to safeguarding. But the committee that we have, as we mentioned previously, we use that committee to monitor every aspect from safeguarding concerns that we have, incidents of note, the referrals that we receive from our staff, but also the training of our staff as well. So we do have some safeguarding training in place, and we will be looking to increase and improve that as we move forward.
Okay, thank you for that. We can't see any more questions. Hands up. So I will move to stakeholder engagement and announcements on our website and other people's websites. We say we're an open organisation. Does that include the performance management reporting? How extensive is that to the public eye through our online channels, but also our stakeholder engagement? All our principal councils, do they publicise us on their websites?
No.
That was a no from Anne.
I can certainly answer in relation to the performance monitoring report, which we present to executive panel, and obviously as with all papers that is presented to executive panel, they are published on our outward facing website, so they certainly are. But I do know that we had a service leadership team workshop away day last week, and I know Llynos, one of her desires is to revamp our externally facing website and put some improvements into how user-friendly and how we can better share the performance that we deliver. We have some performance dashboards which are in the infancy internally, which we are sort of building and developing. And I think one of the visions and plans would be to get some sort of a methodology where members of the public could view those dashboards externally and really see what the live performance of the service is. But we do, just for your assurance, we do publish the performance monitoring report externally. I'm unaware of the detail in relation to local authorities.
Okay, Anne Davis, you've got your hand up. Anne?
Yeah, Chair, when I said no, immediately Town Council came to mind. And I think, that maybe they could do more really to publicise the good work that's going on. While I'm on the subject, I'd like to thank the fire service crew that attended their own carers events in Rydlan on Saturday. And of course, well-being would come into that, I think. The well-being of the children, how amazing the crew were with the young children, allowing them to sit in the fire engine. And it meant so much to these children, little things like that. And they made sure I had a chat with them. They circulated with the members of the public. So it was really good to see them there. We have 1,500 young carers in Denbighshire. And it's quite sad, really, and humbling to see these young ones on Saturday, how polite and, lovely they were. And so I'd like to extend the thanks to the crew from Rhyl. And I suppose the well-being of the crew when they liaise with young people comes into that training as well, I would imagine, doesn't it? But they were excellent with them anyway.
Absolutely, it's the front face of our service, and the service it does an awful lot, not just to make sure people are aware and prevention and fire safety, and it is a fantastic job. Adwen, you've got your hand up as well.
Yeah, bara da. Yeah, gan dynol i'r cwestiwn oedden ni'n
May I go back to the question that we were discussing a little earlier on? Question to Justin. Is there a time scale set for advertising the post of deputy head of the fire service? And also, what is the reason for the delay? Why has there been no progress with this appointment?
So sorry, Councillor Roberts, was that directed to me?
Arwen?
Sorry,
Was that directed to Justin to answer?
Justin or Anthony?
Yeah, well, I think it's probably a question for the chief in terms of how our organisation is structured. Certainly, we've had quite a number of moves in recent times, and I think this was really about a period of stability in terms of a team. So that the four of us currently, as principal officers leading the organisation, but I guess in terms of those other vacancies that we've got within the team, I would probably say that's probably I'd defer the response on that to the chief. As you could understand, that we've probably all got a vested interest in those vacancies. Yeah.
Okay, diolch yn fawr.
Okay, thank you for that. And I've got a question regarding project management capacity. So in there it says we have established dedicated project management capacity. This is particularly important with, of course, the new training centre, but ongoing, we've got people leaving with that capacity and people joining who would want to become on projects. What sort of continual professional development do we have on that for that?
Thank you. Yeah, so we the project management, the PMO function, project management office sits within the planning performance transformation team, and at the moment we have a dedicated project support officer role, which we brought in probably about 12 months ago now, and Lucy now has sort of done that root and branch review of our methodology, and as she and Jonathan presented our middle leader events last year, just to introduce and to upskill and bring that shared understanding to our middle leaders. You are right. We already have a couple of bespoke project management projects running with project management teams. We have our record management system in our prevention and protection team leading. We have a dedicated project manager there that's working on the rollout for us in that regard, because that's quite a significant project for the service. Justin's team has a dedicated project team for the training centre that Louise manages, and has a project manager apprentice there in that team. So our skills and attributes in relation to project management are certainly developing. We've got some fantastic examples of it working really, really well. And one of the visions for the wider team, the planning performance transformation team, is to have a PMO officer. So we have a job evaluation going through at the moment, and the desire is to introduce a dedicated project management officer role to the organisation, because we recognise that not only the existing projects, we have some significant projects coming over the horizon. The emergency services network is a huge project which will impact service in the next 4 or 5 years. We have some significant projects in all departments. So to professionalise that area of the business, we recognise we need a dedicated specialist in that area, which we are developing job evaluations for, that we intend to move forward with over the next 6 months or so.
Okay, thank you for that, Ant. Okay, can't see any more hands up. Okay, if we can go to the recommendations. So do we have a proposer for that report?
Proposer, Chair.
Anne, and a seconder? Arwen, all in favour? There we go, thank you ever so much. Okay, moving on now to item number 6, draft annual statement of accounts 25-26 or recommendation. Is that you, Helen?
It certainly is. Thank you, Chair and Borodar Palb. It's the second item of our statutory accounts today. So we've had the annual governance statement, and I'm pleased to be able to present the statement of accounts, the financial aspects for 25-26 for your consideration. So by way of context, these are our unaudited accounts and have been prepared in accordance with the CIPFA code and the statutory requirements. They were produced and certified by the end of May, which is ahead of the revised Welsh Government timetable, and the external audit by Audit Wales is now in progress. Following the conclusion of the audit, the final accounts will come back to members for approval, and that should be later in the year. I'm going to start by really acknowledging the hard work of the finance team and colleagues across the organisation in producing the accounts within such tight timescales. In particular, our Head of Finance, Elgin Roberts, and also the Deputy Head of Finance, Katie Owen, both of whom have been very instrumental in achieving these deadlines. I don't think we can underestimate the amount of work that goes into it. The accounts themselves run to 86 pages, and that's absolutely necessary to ensure that we fully comply with the code. Although I would direct people to page 1 to 18, because that contains the narrative report. The narrative report sets out the key financial performance and the position in a more user-friendly format. And one of the questions that you raised in respect of the annual governance statement was around our activity and our performance. And I can direct you to table 5 of the narrative report, and that makes the link there between the financial aspects of our organisation and the activity. In overall terms, I'm really pleased to be able to confirm that the authority has maintained a stable and well-managed financial position during the year. That's despite a range of pressures, but I think what that reflects is the fact that we put a lot of effort through the Budget Scrutiny Working Group with members to actually set a budget that we know addresses all of the risks and we understand the pressures before we start the financial year. On the revenue position, we've delivered a small surplus of approximately £121,000, and this is consistent with the detailed forecast that we provided to the Fire Authority in April. Whilst that's a relatively modest surplus, it's important in the current climate that it reflects our strong budgetary control, careful vacancy management, and disciplined financial oversight throughout the year. I'm sorry, I'm slightly distracted because actually it's raining outside and it's hammering on the roof. So I will continue. As a result of the year-end outturn, our usable reserves have increased to £11.8 million at the year-end. Importantly, the earmarked reserves are not excess funds. They're actually held to support known commitments. We've touched on a couple of those already, some of those projects, including the replacement of the emergency service network. Alongside that, we've got reserves for asset replacement, so really smoothing the costs over the useful life of the asset, insurance liabilities, and in service investment on improvement. Over the medium-term financial plan, these will reduce, and that's consistent with the plan approved by the authority in April. Turning to the capital, our total investment during the year was just over £5 million. And this has supported key priorities, including the replacement of ageing fire appliances, a range of infrastructure projects, including ICT, replacement of equipment, and essential building works. It also includes grant-funded expenditure to support our commitment to further reduce our carbon consumption, and of course, the continued development of Hub Owen Training Centre. Following the year-end, 3.9 million of approved capital schemes will carry forward into 26-27, and that reflects the timing of schemes rather than any delivery issues. I'd like to turn to the wider financial position, and the balance sheet remains robust with appropriate levels of assets, liquidity and borrowing, and we also comply with the Treasury Management Strategy, and you'll receive a full year report on that later on today's agenda. By way of assurance to members, the accounts have been prepared in accordance with all of the relevant accounting standards and the regulations. The governance arrangements supporting the accounts have also been reviewed, and the responses to Audit Wales inquiries are included in your pack today. These confirm a strong commitment to a strong control environment, a low risk of fraud, and no material governance concerns that we've identified. Before I conclude today, I'd like to highlight that although the current position is stable, the forward look does remain challenging. We've got pressures linked to pay, pension costs, inflation, and capital funding. They all continue continue to present a pressure, and we therefore anticipate using reserves over the medium term. In closing, I'd like to reiterate my thanks to the finance team and colleagues across the service and in delivering the accounts to the high standard. We're asked today to note the draft outturn. endorse the movement in reserves, and note the supporting governance responses provided to Audit Wales. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, ACFO Helen. Yeah, sorry, I can't see the screen because of the sunlight, so I don't know where our microclimate in Tassop and Dizzes fit in.
Stopped now, bizarrely.
Okay. One thing I would like to highlight is the capital investment in training facilities. So we are still uncertain about the future capital funding presenting for Hub Arwen, and the training facilities in other places are unfit for purpose or are becoming unfit for purpose. If we do not, and when we do not achieve this target of getting funding, when do we start looking at alternatives maintenance of our current facilities, bearing in mind it is a health and safety risk if we do not invest in our training, full stop. So don't know if you want to lead on that, Justin.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that maintenance of our facilities is an ongoing ongoing process. We have to maintain our facility as we are currently. I have actually got a paper on exec panel this afternoon, which presents to the executive panel the risks, the significant risks associated with this project, and funding is most certainly one of those. So what we're looking to do currently is slow this project down for a few months, and that gives us more time to explore those funding options. I guess when I brought the strategic outline case and the outline business case to members previously, we gave, I think on the first iteration, there was probably 5 options, everything from doing nothing right the way through to building a centre which is, cutting edge and does everything you could possibly want from a training centre. And within those papers, I previously highlighted the risks that were associated with each of those options. I think we will need to go back and look at our options. I'd say at the moment, the work that we are doing is we are still looking at options around funding, and we're looking around options around affordability. We're not at the decision point today at the moment about changing options. There is still a strong case for developing the proposals which we brought to members, so we are still actively pursuing that. But I guess the work that we're currently doing is looking at that balance between affordability and basically what we can deliver. So, what comes with that is strengthening the business case. We've already written a business case, I think, since probably I last spoke to the wider authority group. We've been considering that impact of perhaps community resilience and social value as well, and realise that perhaps within our business case writing, we probably haven't explored those 2 areas as broadly as we can. We've obviously had a change of administration as well within Welsh Government, so that means the conversations that we've previously had, we're potentially having conversations with different people now. So that's something that we are pursuing. But I sort of be assured that making sure we deliver something, we're still committed to delivering on the training centre, but we are going to have to look at how that is funded in the future.
Okay, thank you for that. Right. Okay, any hands up? David, you want to come in, Treasurer?
Diolch, Cadeirydd. Nôl yn y Treasurer, Helen has usurped the 151 role, and I'd like to congratulate her. Llongyfarchiadau Helen ar lofnodi'r cyfrifon.
Congratulations, Helen, on signing off the accounts in an orderly and timely manner. And I'd like to thank Elgan and the finance team for all the work that has gone into these statements. There are lots and lots of pages for members to read, but there's been a lot more background work to get this paperwork ready. I think it is very advantageous to present these accounts early on in the year. As Helen said, they have been presented ahead of the statutory time frame, but doing this allows the auditors to embark on their work earlier, and they will be out of the way in order for the staff to focus on regulatory matters. I was reading the accounts as an advisor, and I was just looking for those headline figures, the big figures, and I think they were on page 71. I shall switch to English to explain this. It's rather technical. You'll see the figure 22 million, the defined net benefit liability. These are the figures on paper regarding the pensions.
Announced a change in the SCAPE discount rate. SCAPE being superannuation contributions adjusted for past experience. The SCAPE discount rate used for firefighters' pension scheme is now CPI plus 2%, revised up from CPI plus 1.7%, and that just makes the future value of payments greater, which means that there's a huge swing there, but it's the SCAPE rate has been adjusted to take account of long-term GDP growth figures, but members shouldn't be too alarmed with that. It went one way 26 million last year and the other way 22 million this year. So I shouldn't really be drawing your attention to it, but just to provide some assurance that that doesn't really need further scrutiny. The occupational firefighters' pensions in the UK have consistently operated from inception as an unfunded pay-as-you-go schemes. They were first introduced on a national scale in 1948, and rather than relying on an invested fund as a company pension scheme would be, or even the local government pension scheme is, benefits are paid like state pensions, paid from general taxation and current contributions. So unfortunately, we haven't got the benefit of a invested fund to balance that out. So it does stick out like a sore thumb of a big number. Generally, I think